So today is a demo session. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Abhay. I have around 10 years of experience in Salesforce industry, and I have also certified in OmniStudio development. In that 10 years, I have worked on admin development across all types of native cloud that Salesforce is offering. And with Velocity itself, I have done around 5 to 6 projects. This is my sixth batch in Velocity itself. So this is about myself, and now let's discuss about the entire. Yeah, just a second. Now let's discuss about the course first of all, and then we will move towards what is velocity and what types of audience is should go for this course, right? All those things. So first of all, this course is for both type of persons, for admins and for developers also. Someone who is having some experience in Salesforce, if they know what is the admin part, if they know how the data will get stored into Salesforce, that basic definition and the basic knowledge of Salesforce is prerequisites. Apart from that, if you are good in development also, then this course is also meant for you, because in Velocity there are two types of main profiles. One is for the admins. Admins means the persons who is having good business knowledge. They are related to some a BA kind of, who worked as a BA somewhere, or they are have a good knowledge in Salesforce admin parts. Then they can go for the admin parts. And someone who's already doing a development, they know how what is LWC, they know what is the coding, how to write Apex, all those things. If they know those things, then they will go for the development in Velocity. Yes, Velocity also have the development areas. We will discuss those things in more detail when we start this course. Now let's, before we move into the technicalities, let's discuss about the real-time examples, like why Salesforce acquire Velocity and what types of business was not there in Salesforce before acquiring the Velocity. So we will discuss these things with the help of some real examples. Let's say Flipkart or Amazon, whatever you like. I basically like this Flipkart website. It's more user friendly for me. So what we will do is, before we go into the depth, we will try to, create a website like Flipkart using our Salesforce. Okay, we will not discuss about velocity as of now. We will just discuss how we can just simply create this Flipkart in by using admin and development tools that are available in Salesforce. Okay. So first of all, what you need a site.com, right? Let me also write those things here. Yeah. First point that we need is we need site.com. What I mean by site.com, it is nothing but a community, right? Why community? Because we need to give users a view where they don't need to log in, correct? That is only possible when we enable a page in communities, correct? Apart from this community, we need to have those things. We need to add database, right? We need a place where we actually insert our products, right? That is one thing we need. We need a UI also, because we want to display something to the users. Next thing that we need is logic, right? All those buttons and all that you're seeing, they should actually functionally work also. Let's say if I click on that particular watch and I want to try to buy this, then all those buttons should be proper. They should work exactly, right? So for that we need logic. And in Salesforce, as you guys already know, the data is the storage of the data is very limited. That means nowadays, let's say if I want to configure my hundred or thousands of products, and all products is having 5 to 10 pictures, right? 5 to 10 photos, and all of those photos are having 5 to 6 MBs. So storing that much data will definitely cost back. So what we will do, we will not use Salesforce, we will use a additional, external systems in their purpose. External systems, maybe S3 in AWS, right? So there we also need a integration. That's all I want to say. So as of now, what we have done, to configure, to build a website like Flipkart, we need a community. We need to utilize the database of Salesforce. We need to create a UI engine, maybe by using LWC, maybe by using VF page, anything that you like. Maybe you can go for Aura as well. And then we need a logic. Logic means we need automation logics that send messages, that button should properly work. And we need a external system to connect. We need other things we also need, but as of now, just consider those are the four things. More importantly, these four things are required at this moment. Okay. Now, what we will do is we will try to create those things with the help of Salesforce, right? So how Salesforce work basically, whenever you need to add anything, you need an object for it, correct? So let's say we want to add those four category, the first four category: grocery, mobile, fashion, and electronics. Just forget about those four. Yeah, just make it simple. Let's say the requirement is the customer Flipkart, which works for your company, and you want to create those four categories. So what you need basically, you need to start everything with the help of creating the objects. Correct? With me? Those objects, you need to create an object for grocery, right? You need to create a object for mobile. You need to create an object for fashion, let's say, and one more, let's say electronics. Everything looks fine here, right? We just need to create objects in couple of fields. Let's say you are the architect in your company and you have a bandwidth of 50 employees. Okay, the 50 employees are mixture of admins and developers, and with this project you started with creating the basic structures of objects. Okay, and how you define which fields we need to create is based on the data that your customers give. They will probably share a Excel file, or they probably share you the external systems availability where you will see all those fields. So the first thing that we have done, we have created the objects for them. Okay. After setup the object, once the object setup is done, the next thing that we will do is we will create the UI for it, right? And then we will write the logics and we will call the external APIs and we are good. And we simply done this development and promoted the development to the higher environment. After doing the testing and all, this will get deployed to this Salesforce production environment and customers started using this. But all of a sudden, the customer says, hey, we in grocery, we want to further categorize our catalog, right? Let's say if I go here, this is I want to categorize this. How I want to categorize this? I want to categorize this in this format. I want to make some beverages. I want to make some packed food, baby cares and household and daily uses, kitchen, like those things. We need to categorize further. And why we want to categorize? Previously, how you did it? You created a object which names grocery, and you directly start adding records into it. Correct? But now what they are saying is no, this structure we don't want. We want to create like this. We need a grocery here. And under that, we need further, divisions. We don't want to add product at this layer. We want to further divide those things. And why? Because they want to enhance their catalog. They want to add more categories into the catalog. Now, as a developer, as an architect, the problem that you will gonna face is because you have already tagged your product to this object, and further divisions means you need to either go for a record where you will go and create a record type, right? Just a second. Or you can simply go and create another object and tag grocery as a parent object and use those objects as a child object, correct? But any of those things will again require so much code changes, so much, testings, because everything is already moved to production, and it will be, slightly not that easy to implement also. But let's say you are very lucky, your all 50 employees are very talented and they did it, and you are good, and you actually did this stuff and they promoted it to production. Now, up to this, you have done all types of your data structure is looking very good. Your UI is also looking very good. But the problem that the next thing that you will face is when your customer says, hey, I want to implement some discounts based on users location. What types of discounts? Let's discuss this also. Let's say this is the website and I have used the pin code 110001. Okay, based on that pin code, this Flipkart shows me the list of groceries and available discounts also. But maybe if you try the same page at your location, the products will differ. Why? Because based on my location, the products, based on the product availability, the Flipkart is showing the prices. But maybe in different location, let's say you are working on another continent and you search for your own pin code here, then the product will definitely will differ, right? So how you will implement this thing, this will be a next challenging job for you. Okay, because now you need to provide the mapping of your price based on the user's location, right? Let's say again you are very lucky, you implemented that and deployed to the production. The next thing, the next ask that your customer asks, hey, I want to give additional 5% discounts to the persons who's working for Flipkart or the related companies, which is corporate discount. So this will be again a challenging job. So the thing is, as an architect, if you overview all those things, you will realize that the mechanism or the functionality that we are using, that we are deploying, is not correct, because for a small change we need to use drastic code changes, right? And some of them is also a deprecated changes also, which we previously implemented, but we need to delete that because it's useless. We again need to build a new code, right? So for one or two scenarios, for one or two sprints, that is fine, your team can work as overloading, they can do those things, but it can't be like all the time things, right? That's why there's a lack that Salesforce development, Salesforce as a platform feel, and all types of such type of scenarios where e-commerce is involved. Salesforce was actually facing problems to acquiring that industry also. Okay, because of its object oriented, tightly object oriented structure, which was actually the power of Salesforce. Now it is behaving like a drawback of Salesforce also, right? Apart from this e-commerce, there are other platforms also, like the uh, finance, right? Let's say I'm giving you one story of finance also, and then try to imagine how you will implement that in finance. When you actually pay, let's say you are going to purchase any health insurance, okay? The time when you are actually purchasing the health insurance, you are not going to actually cover into it, right? Until you are completed that that vendor will complete your health checkup, right? So the actual date when you're purchasing the plan and the actual date when you're covering, when that particular company is covering you, is different. And in between, they are also running some set of rules as well, right? So all those things becomes very much complex. Even if I try to more simplify this in this domain also, let's say you have built all those things and now customers get the discounts also, but the time when they are actually buying it, right, when they are actually clicking on the order button and doing, after doing the payment, you also need to run a set of rules that actually required for order decomposition process. Like you need to connect to the further teams, you need to connect to the inventory teams, you need to connect to the persons who's actually selling those products, they need to make that shipment ready. They also need to make sure that if, let's say, you're purchasing a the customers are purchasing any television, okay, the televisions also comes with installation, so you also need to inform the installation persons or installation teams that you need to, that particular shipment will be delivered to this date, and by this date you need to install it. So there may be so many things that you need to complete or you need to cover before you actually deploy this thing to the production, right? Without that, we simply cannot make it, right? So all those things is slightly difficult for one team to complete all those things, right? And like I said, the discounting and price drops is also a big deal, because you need set of rules who govern those things. So there's not a, like I said, there's no direct connection between Salesforce developers and the actual business. So there will be so much difference in between also. The time when you're developing the code, when you're actually doing your internal sanities, the business requirement may change, right? They may say, hey, I don't need this, but I also need that also. In that case, you again need to build something from the scratch. So this problem is not only your project's problem, right? This problem is the entire Salesforce problem at that time, because this e-commerce business was very new in Salesforce, and there will be hardly any customers who are using Salesforce in that manner. So what, how Velocity solve this problem is, let me give you a scenario again. Let's say your 50 employees, they did very good job, and you are a very smart architect, and you figure it out how to soft code it. What I mean by soft coding, you figure it out how by using less code changes you can optimize more things. You figure it out. And I'm another person who's working for another project, and since I also need to go through all this process, so you can say, hey, I can sell my code to you, right? It's the same thing Velocity does. They figure it out how to run a e-commerce business on Salesforce, and then they sell that particular code. And how they sell it? They sell it with the help of packaging. They completely package their code and they put that code into marketplace, and then persons can install that particular market, they can install that package from marketplace and they can use it. So the same thing they does. So if I conclude this everything, What is Velocity? Now you can ask what exactly it is. So it is a industry specific tool. Like what is industry specific? E-commerce industry, which is communication domain, insurance domain, right? There's a healthcare domain, manufacturing domain, all those things which actually need a set of rules for everyone, right? If you, let's say you are Flipkart, you also need to use the same manner. If you are Amazon, you also need to use the same thing. Like there will be product, there will be categories, there will be discounting, there will be order decomposition process. So all those things, but since it is that specified, it is that soft coded that you can modify all those things according to your needs, right? They also consider this thing as a fact that they are not enforcing anything to anybody. That should be purely soft coded. We will discuss those things, how drastically they have used it. We cannot even hard code this 94 rupees anywhere. We have to make sure that we are following the object structure to put this 94, right? So yeah, so that is the overcome, and that is how they have observed and they have done that. Now let's do one thing. Let's quickly check how they resolve this issue. We have discussed about what is the issue. The issue was having this tightly bonded object structures, which is not fitting the requirement, right? How they basically does it. This is, hey, I will create a structure for you. The moment you install CMT package or insurance package, they will install around 100 of objects and their fields. And let's say if you want to add grocery, so what you need is you need to create a category called grocery. Okay, inside that category, you can define other categories also. Let's say this packed food. So here you can define packed food. Inside packed food, you can again define the further category, right? This, and inside this category, you can again define the category, and then you can define the actual product. So what they does it, this is, hey, you don't need to tag the product directly anywhere. You first go and set up your categories. Just go and create those categories, right? Grocery, packed food, and there will be, other categories, let's say A, B, C, and inside that category there will be 50 products that you need to add. Okay, and up to this, let's say there is a different category, and inside that category you need to add 100 products. So the tagging of those 150 products are not directly going to tag on one thing. They will get tagged once you set up all those categories. So now you may go and ask your uh, business, hey, what is your object structure? Okay, they will say, I need this, and then I need to do it, and you develop that. Let's say this is, hey, I also want to introduce one more category. So you don't need to do any code changes. You don't need to do any more specific automation changes. You just need to update the data just in case if that is the requirement. So you can add a specific category in the between also. And this category is not only for maintaining the product, it is also for maintaining the layouts and fields also. Let's say in grocery, there is a field, let's say company. Okay, this company is required for packed food also. This company is required for child care also, kitchen products also, because company is everywhere, right? There is company for packed food, which is, let's say, Pepsi. Okay, there's a company for uh, child care. Okay, so all those companies are common field, right? So we have, as a developer, as a velocity architect, we have this option where we can fit which field is gonna use as a mass level, or it is a very specific to a product. Okay, if it is like, say, company is a global field that can be accessed to any of the grocery category, we will define this field at this level. But if it is, let's say, very specific to that, so we can define it at this level also. Okay, so they have given this flexibility also, where we have used a reusability of a particular field. And what if I tell you this field, you don't need to define it into Salesforce as well? That means that company you can create on fly. We will discuss in depth how we will create all those things. But the thing is, we don't need to velocity, define this way. Like you have a less dependency on your object, but more dependency on on the velocity VF pages that they have created for us. Now, let me quickly show you this page. This is the page which Velocity does created. This is, you need to go and first of all create all those categories. They call it object. Okay. The moment when you click on object, you will see those are the those are the fields that those are the object structure that we need to create. Let's say if it is a mobile, then we need to go and create Android and iOS. In Android also, if you want, if you need some specific categories, you can create like 4G, 5G, right? All those things you can create here also. In iOS and Apple, if you also want to create subcategories, you can create those things also. And then you can go for tagging your products. How you will create tag your products? They give it this option where you just simply click on this and search for any product or add any product also, right? So they reduce this efforts where we are working on maintaining the object structure. We are working on maintaining the Apex classes, UIs, and all those things. This is no, you don't need that. You just simply ask the questions to the business, and based on the answer, you set up the object structure, and then you simply go and set up the product and environments, right? So that is how they simplify these things. This the example that I have given you, it is related to communication domain, which is CMT domain. Okay, where you will see a texture of pricing also, which is a part of CPQ, where you will understand. We will discuss this thing in depth when we reach to when we discuss about this particular class, where we discuss how the pricing will vary, like based on the certain rules, how the pricing will vary, how a particular discount will enforce to a product or a category of the product, right? And based on the geography or based on the any wear condition, how the price and discounts will vary. What will happen if users need to apply any redeem code, right? What will happen, like in Flipkart and Amazon also, they are starting the new feature where if you purchase anything, you will get some coins, right? So same thing here also, you can define those things also, where how users will get credited to those coins and how the coin will be treated as a actual money, right? All those things will be covered with this simple page. But this is only one use of velocity. That's not the everything that velocity. It's not like velocity only meant to perform those object structures and those things also. Maybe you can ask, hey, Abhay, my project is also requiring some basic needs like updating a record or querying any database, right? Or displaying a normal page like how we do in LWC or in Aura or in VF page. So how we can do that? So all those things is also there in Velocity. They says, hey, if once you install the package, you literally don't need to make any coding if your customers is not very much concerned about the UI. But if your customer is concerned about the UI, then obviously you need to do the coding for that. So now let me go back to the slides. Yeah, here. There are two type of roles, like I said, in Velocity. One is admin and second is developer. Whatever we have discussed as of now, this roles rise into admin part. Okay, this role lies into admin part. What is admin? Let's say Velocity offers some, basic things like querying data, displaying some fields, displaying something into the UI, creating the catalog. All those things doesn't require any coding as such, right? Because it comes with the native skin, it comes with the native functionalities. If your customers are happy, then you can simply do everything with the help of admin skills. Like Salesforce also have these two things, right? Admin and what is admin there? If you are happy with Salesforce UI, like the Lightning or the classic UI, if you're happy with how what the capabilities of flows, process builders, workflows, triggers, right? Not triggers, all those platform that doesn't require any coding. So you can go everything with the help of admins. But there are some use cases where those native builds are having their own limitations, right? Let's say we are not happy with what Velocity natively offering, the UI that they are offering without any coding. The customers are not happy. They want to use their own branding. Let's say this Flipkart, they are come up with this green brands, right? And let's say Salesforce comes with this blue icon. When you implement Velocity also, this will come with the blue icon that doesn't, they follow Salesforce Lightning UI also. So if just in case your customers are saying, no, we don't want this, we want to enforce this green color. Okay, that situation wherever any branding or any specific, very specific requirements comes into the picture, the role of developer will start. What developer does here is, first of all, what are the skills? Let's discuss. For admin, someone who's having small experience in Salesforce admin part, they are good. But here the business experience is required. Let's say you are working for insurance domain and you want to use Velocity, then your insurance domain knowledge in Velocity will simply help you in set up all those things. Okay. If you are working on a communication domain, okay, then your knowledge of communication domain will help you here on set up all those rules, because things doesn't look that simple as you are saying here. Let's say once you place the order, once you actually user click on the order button, then we need to configure so many rules. Those rules basically tells what are the what are the set of what are the set of things that we need to run. So all those things require so much business knowledge, and you also need to involve on business calls with your customers where they will tell you something and you need to follow up on that, and you also need to tell them, hey, we can simplify this with the help of those features. So this type of discussion, if you're good in admin skills, then you need to go for admin parts. There your responsibilities will be considering the demos, considering the inputs from your whatever inputs that your business is saying, you need to deliver that and show them, demo those things, right? That skill doesn't need any development skills like Apex, knowledge of Apex or any coding language doesn't require here. But like I said, it is limited. Its boundary is limited because you need to do everything. You need to fit your knowledge, you need to fit your product with the help of boundaries that Velocity defines. Okay. But sometimes it is possible, like whatever Velocity is natively offering is not something which your customers are looking, right? For that, developer roles get started. What developers will do it, they will tune their functionality with the help of their coding. That means, let's say they have created a Apex class. Okay. And that Apex class is maybe, let's say, calculating the age. Okay. So their responsibility is to call this Apex class in native features of Velocity to communicate between Velocity components and do your Apex class. Same goes for LWC also. Let's say you have built a LWC, and with the help of native buttons that your admin created, you need to communicate those inputs to your LWC. In that case, you need developer knowledge. What Velocity does it, they actually make it very soft coded, like all those things that they are doing with the help of those button clicks, they make it API enabled. That means you can invoke those things outside also, but for that you need to create a platform that actually invoke those things. Those platform is support Apex, LWC, and VF also, but there's no support in Aura. There are support. We'll discuss about this how Aura will fit in between, but yeah, there is no direct support. Anything that your project need in terms of UI development, in terms of any additional things, then you need to go for LWC. In both of them, let's say if you in your old platform, and this is for specifically for the developers, in let's say in your own platform you are making any Apex calls for additional systems, right? Luckily we don't need to create any of those codes here. Okay. We can simply use admin skills to configure those APIs. We just need to, like how in Salesforce we have options like we can create namespaces and all. There, with the help of the simple techniques, we can also invoke their APIs, whatever in format they want. They want REST format or they want SOAP format. All those things we can configure with the help of admin parts. Okay. So with the help of some, nuts and tools, we can take uh, some code from the admin sections and we can write our own code and then combine those code to make one product. This responsibility is for the developers. Okay. In developer, there is no certain limit. As such, we have a admin limit in admin because now we are using two things. We are using Salesforce and we are using Velocity also. But here we are using Velocity more and less Salesforce. Okay. Now we have reached to one technical end. If any questions, you can ask. Any questions could be if you have any doubt related to roles, if you have any doubts, the capability of Velocity, if you think that Velocity is something which has those features which you probably ask in your project, then those things we can discuss here. Meanwhile, let me load the other
Hi.
topics.
Hey, hi. I have a doubt.
Mhm.
So the dynamic pricing, which you said, it will change based on in your use case, which will change based on the location.
Right.
Can we configure that using Velocity?
No, we can use velocity. In velocity, there is options. Let me show you. We need to use the CPQ, velocity CPQ for that. You will see there's something
Oh.
called rules, right? So the combination
Mm-hmm.
of pricings and rules will decide which price book will be activated for the particular product.
Yeah. Oh, got it.
So those things velocity automatically taken care of. They says for any related to any flow, you don't need to write any code. Those things they have taken care of. But specifically for the UI purpose, we need to rely on LWC and other techniques also. And also if we need some project specific functionality, let's say when any users get logged in, we need to fire any additional API to do anything like there is in my project. Let me give you an idea. They are following this structure. Whenever users get login, like here also there is a button for login, right? Login or create a profile. Whenever they create a profile, we need to get the federation ID from an external system, right? And that external systems is the middle where there are other systems also. So for that I need to do some specific coding in that area, so which is very dedicated for my project itself. So in that area we need to go for development. Okay, any other question?
Yeah, hi. I have joined a little late actually.
Mhm,
Actually, I mean, for developer part, I mean, what are
mhm.
the technologies we need to learn actually? Means I am completely new to Salesforce, nothing, I don't know anything.
Okay, so see, like I said, if you are new in Salesforce, you can go for admin parts. So in this course, in this entire course, we will cover everything related to admin, and we will also see some part of development also. Okay, so if you're very new to the Salesforce, I will share you a YouTube link where it is 5 to 10 hours uh, admin thing. You need to learn those things. In that course you will understand what is the objects, how Salesforce works, what is the fields, how the basically the thing is you need to understand how Salesforce objects and database is running. That is all it required.
Okay.
Okay, and especially for development, if you're looking for development, you need to know this. You need to know Apex, you need to know LWC. LWC is very important here because we will learn LWC. And previously when LWC was not there, they are using Ajax.
Yes.
Yeah.
LWC. Okay.
Yeah, Ajax is something for helping on making custom DOM. That means custom UI and custom HTML parts. That's they are doing with the help of Ajax. But now since LWC is there, so we prefer to go for LWC because LWC is more secure. It follows ECMAScript 7 support, right? But Ajax is something which is not likely to be used at this time because LWC is already in place. And as a Salesforce domain person, I also prefer to go for LWC because I am also not someone who knows very good in. I'm not know much about Apex also, Ajax also. So I have someone in my team. If required, we need to for old components where we have not migrated them to LWC. We will still support Ajax for that.
Yes. So you in between, you were saying something on I mean, Vlocity-CPQ.
Mhm.
I mean, that is a different portion, right? Completely, you will not cover under this.
No, we will cover Salesforce. We will not cover Salesforce CPQ. Salesforce CPQ is a very trust big platform. What Velocity does it use some of the features of Salesforce CPQ and combine that and use it here. We will discuss all those features here. Actually, I have. Let me show you the course content also. I think I opened it somewhere. Yeah, I'm not sure if it is updated, but yeah, see, this is Salesforce Velocity CPQ. We will use orchestration templates, all those things, how the basic orders get created. See, Velocity CPQ parts comes when user click on order button. Okay, the time when they click on order button, all those things, the governor rules, the pricings, the discounting, all those things will run at the time. Those things we will cover here. Okay, this is part of CPQ, order capture journey, documentation, pricing, discounts, promotions, timeline, all those things we will discuss there.
Okay.
Okay, so since we have opened this page, let's discuss the course content. Let's keep an eye on. Yeah, if any questions you can ask and then we can go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a
One
question.
last question.
I got a question here. So the thing is, see, suppose I am interested in the CMT, okay, communication, and someone else is interested in the energy because of their project requirement or client requirement, something like that. So
Mhm.
will it be useful for both of them?
Yeah, see, the specific to CMT, if I talk about up to there, wherever CPQ mentioned, this part is CMT, CPQ orchestration, EPC, and CPQ. Up to this part is only for communication domain. Rest is common, like this integration, data raptor, OmniScripts, Velocity cards, layouts. This is common for all the clouds that Velocity is offering. Even this migration tools also.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So only this bracket that you're seeing here, these three topics, they are specific to CMT domain.
Are we completing the OM here? OM order management.
Yeah, we are completing that also. Order
Complete
management.
OM na? Complete
Yeah,
OM na?
complete OM.
Okay.
Complete OM as a sense, user need to click on order button. So what types of rules and regulations that we need to create, we will learn this. We will also create a project where we will create a dummy requirement when user click on an order button, what types of rule and regulation we need to run.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we will also run what will happen if user click on an order, then within 5 or 10 minutes they cancel their order. So how the system will react in that case, how we will make sure the process doesn't, start doing the shipments and all those things. How we will stop those things. So yeah, make
Sir,
orders. Yeah.
sir, you mean all those things will take care by CPQ in CPQ by writing rules and all?
Yeah, CPQ and velocity also they work combined. See, CPQ, don't be confused CPQ with Salesforce CPQ. This is Velocity CPQ. They have written all those logics with the help of their structure and their requirement only. Okay, so pricing, the concept of CPQ is still remain the same, but the behavior will definitely going to change based on velocity nature.
So are there any limitations in velocity?
Yeah, there are admin limitations like we discussed here.
Yeah.
Limitations like based on UI. The major limitation here is the UI because there are two types of customers that I have ever worked. One customer who's only want their functionality. They don't much stress on how the UI is looking. The other customer is very much concerned about the UI. Why they are concerned? Because they are selling their stuffs to their customers. Okay, for let's say this Flipkart, if we want to enforce the native velocity for them, they will not be satisfied. Why? Because they have their own structure, they have their own view to look the product, right? So if this is the situation, we need to go for the development areas. So that will be the limitations of velocity admin part. But since it suppose the platform as Salesforce, which is having the capability of writing their own codes, right? So that with the help of that, we can enhance these features. I more specific tell you the limitations. Yes, as of now, it is still very complex. There's there's no customer like Flipkart in Salesforce as of now. There are customers like M1 Telecom who's actually started using the e-commerce platforms in built on Salesforce. But there's no very big customers who's even I haven't heard. I could be wrong, but for me, my experience, the customers that are using velocity, they are more specific on doing this order decomposition process. That's why they're using it, order decomposition, because order decomposition is itself very complex, and velocity actually make very good work here to make these things controllable without any coding. That is the major advantages of this entire velocity. And believe me, there are 20 to 30% customers that I have worked, they only want to use this order management. They are not interested in CPQ, they're not interested in EPC, they just want order management. That's why they are using it. Additionally, the UI purpose for storing data, they are using third party. For Velocity, they are just using order management.
That's right. In my company also, we are using that.
Yeah. Any other
Uh,
question?
Abhay,
Yes,
I
I
have
have
a
one.
question, Abhay.
Mhm.
So actually, are we going to cover about actually how we are calling the data raptor
Right,
from the
right. We are covering it.
LWC?
Correct, correct, correct. Yeah. See here
No,
it
no, no,
is
no.
data raptor.
Yeah, data raptor. Okay, so we are calling from OmniScript, so the integration procedure that's okay. So actually, a bit complex, like how we are calling from LWC components, how we are calling from Apex classes. Those kind of topics are we going to cover?
Those things I will try. I will try my
Okay,
level best to discuss those things, but those are not part of this course. For development,
okay,
like I said, we will only discuss about how to enhance the UI, how to
okay,
combine your, how to call, I mean, how to connect your LWC with OS, right?
okay,
How these two components can talk to each other.
okay. But actually, if you are giving these particular things, would be great at least in one session.
Yeah, sure. I'll try that.
Okay,
That totally depend how much time, because see, I don't bound my classes based on some targeted this feature. Let's say I want to discuss only mapping, so I'm not targeting that I need to complete this mapping. I will complete the classes once you guys says don't have any question further. So that depends. I quoted 30 hours, but sometimes it goes to 35 also.
okay,
Yeah. So that's totally depend what types of audience is going to join this course. Let's say someone who's very good in development, then everything goes smoothly. I will also not stress more on the basic questions. I will move to the higher end questions also. But let's say if someone who's struggling with the concepts, then I need to, slow down the process and catch this thing also, that everyone is actually having on the same page. But if you have your own specific questions, let's say you says I want to use data raptor in my LWC. In that case, we can probably connect after the call. Let's say if the class starts at 8:30 to 9:30, we can discuss those things after 9:30 also.
yeah. That would be great. Actually, that is the help I'm expecting from you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi,
Any
sir.
other question? Yeah.
Actually, no, currently I'm working in a mainframes. Actually, I mean, I'm having around 10 years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now I completely wanted to migrate. If at all, I wanted to choose, let's say, development side. I mean, here Velocity side, Velocity development side.
Mm-hmm.
Then I mean, how challenging for me, sir? I mean, for the development portion, you mean that LWC, Ajax? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
before, after learning only, we need to jump in, or how, sir?
Right. So see, development is something. Let me go there also. Yeah. See, development is not something which you can directly start. You need to know admin first, right?
Yes.
You need to
Yeah.
know what you can do without coding. Then you will understand what is the limitation, what is this boundary.
Hmm.
Once you understand it, then you will go for development. And when you actually go for development, you need to understand what is Apex and what is LWC. These two things you
LWC.
need to know. There's no requirement to understand VF page. It's good to have. There's no requirement to understand Aura. It's good to have. But Apex and LWC is required.
So LWC, in the sense that is kind of, I mean, this CSS
Like
type.
it is it is client side development which requires, I mean, which use in between JavaScript and talk to Apex.
Okay.
Apex, which is Salesforce. Okay, so it's
Okay.
act like a layer in between your Salesforce server and your client side, which is more driven on your browser. It uses your browser's brain, and whenever required, it will use Apex, which to get the data and display to the users, and also CSS as well. Yeah.
So, sir, one more thing, sir. You were saying example with Flipkart. So Flipkart is now currently working on this Salesforce, the complete UI, those things, order
No,
management.
no, no.
Example
I'm
on. Uh,
example is M1 Telecom.
hmm.
This is purely running on Velocity, Salesforce. Whatever you are seeing, this is nothing but a pick list, and they use this optimization in the UI, and they are making like this only. And we will do these things actually as well. When we click on next, they are opening a new flow, and this flow is showing all those things. And when you click on next, they are now, when I click on this, they will make a server call to get those numbers. When I click on that and continue, now they are reserving this number from that external server, making the Apex calls to retrieve these things and opening a order page for us. There they are using pure development here. They are, because the native page where we actually put the order is very different than how this page is looking. Okay, so there we need to know how, what are the, like I said, up to this we need to understand this is the boundary, and then we need to create our own custom development page to make this page like that, where we show what is the actual page, what things are free, what is the total MRP that we need to pay, and then we also need to give whether we want to give it, we want to pay it one time or a recurring option. Like all those things we will discuss in detail. There are two types of product. One is the Netflix, second is your television. Netflix is not a physical product. It costs you per month, right? And television is optional, whether you want to convert it into EMIs or cost for recurring payments or one-time payments, right? Those things we will discuss. I hope that answer your question.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, is say we have admin, sales, and service cloud and marketing cloud also. So is it the same admin level, or will it change in velocity?
There is a slightly change. Previously, those clouds that you are talking about, they are specifically to Salesforce, right? But here you need to work on some VF pages that Velocity created for you. Like this is a VF page, right? If I move to, yeah, this is Data Raptor, right? This is also a VF page. See, Apex-less VF page, right? So that is the admin part where you need to understand how we can use those VF pages and what are the best practices to use those VF pages also.
So will we have permissions and profiles and roles also here?
Yeah, obviously we are running on top of Salesforce. So obviously all those things that Salesforce offers will enforce here as well. Those governance elements we will also see here. If you, if let's say as an architect, you're not much concerned about the best practices, then you will see a lag in production environment as well, right? So all those best practices here also we need to take care, because Velocity is not running anywhere else. It is running on top of Salesforce. That means the governor limits will still be enforced here, right? It's a different thing. They, I mean, they make it very optimized, but we also need to take care what type of things that we need to, when we develop thing, what type of thing we need to take in mind. Right? We will discuss this thing. Like for this example, there is a formula here in Data Raptor. What is this formula? We can call our Apex class here as well and use the output as a formula here. But let's say if you're not written your Apex class in a good manner, in that case, whenever you use this account query Data Raptor, you will see a lag, right? If you, let's say, add thousands of queries in one Data Raptor, you will see a lag. So there is a best practices that we always need to take care, even if we are working on a package. Okay. So your FLS and all will be, you can see there is a check also, right? Check FLS things. So those things will still apply here. So those things we need to take care. Any other question?
Sir, now in the current market, what is the, what is the opposite leader to Velocity? I mean, these things.
There is one, I forgot the name actually, but it is not in Salesforce.
I mean, other than this Salesforce or Velocity, other competitor.
Yeah, there are the competitors, but they are not on Salesforce platform. So someone who's using Salesforce, they need to do everything with the help of Salesforce, right? So that's why, yeah. And I'm sorry, I will find the name and then tell you. I just forgot the name also for that. Okay, any other question? Can we go ahead? Okay, so yeah, let's say.
I have one last question. I mean,
Yeah.
it's about the marketing right now. Is it Velocity has a most demand compared to sales and service cloud?
Yes, sales. See,
comparing to other clouds.
Right. Other cloud, it is demanding. Why it is demanding? Because of this, this order management in CPQ. Insurance, there is insurance page. See how they make it classified is there for any type of business. There is an area which is very complex, right? They work very well in that area, and then they enhance some common features also, like this OmniScripts, integrations, data repair, that makes their developer life very easy. So that is why it is, I personally prefer that we can't, compare marketing cloud and Velocity, because they are two different cloud, right? We can't compare this. But as a Career wise, if I tell you, yes, velocity is something which is more demanding, but yes, marketing cloud and those things are also demanding. Sales cloud and service cloud, those are very old, and they will not give you that. If you have the knowledge of those things, it will not get that reflected in your resume, like how marketing cloud and velocity that refer. Getting it? Because the audience who knows sales cloud and service cloud is so many persons, right? Who knows those things? Because when you join Salesforce, you first thing that you will understand is sales cloud and service cloud. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Now let me quickly discuss about the other topics, which is where is that? Yeah, this page only. So see, apart from this communication domain, there are some common areas also. Let's say you need to get something, you need to query something. For making any query or to make any insert or update operation, you need to rely on the data map, data loader. Okay, so data loader is nothing but a page that Velocity created. This is the page. Let's see how it works. Again, we have a dedicated entire session. I'm just giving you a reference about those topics. Data raptor is something like its name says, data and raptor. That means it grab the data. Here you just need to, previously how you do in Apex, you need to create queries. You need to write select account from this fields, that where condition, all that, right? Here you don't need to do that. Here you just simply go and select the object name. Let's say I have selected this object name. I want to add a filter on the top it where ID is equal to this account ID. We will discuss where this account ID is coming. I have also made one query on contact object where I said where all query all those contacts where account ID is this. So this is the place where we actually go and create our object binding to get the data. And again, this formula is something where we need to do some more challenging or very specific calls where we just simply need to, call our Apex class or simply use this null checks like this is blank or is include. Those things we can do in formulas. Output is something where we need to bind those things. If you just look at this side, you will see what this is creating. This is nothing but maintaining the JSON. Okay. If I just go to the preview and yeah.
Is Salesforce inspector will work here?
Salesforce inspector, we will look when we bind LWC and that LWC will not work. In that case, we will go for Salesforce inspector.
I mean, in this screen right now on this page, on this UI.
No, this is not Salesforce inspector. This is a VF page that Velocity created for Data Raptor.
Okay.
Okay, this is a place where let's say you need to add a button which query
Yeah,
the
understood.
current.
Understood. It's like
Yeah,
SOQ.
correct, SQL. So this is what place where we actually bind those objects. And for any development tools, Velocity offers you preview where you can do the unit testing without going anywhere, without leaving that particular screen. So let's say we have configured our data, we have configured account and contacts, and we want to see how it is looking like. So we can simply go in the account ID, which we have soft coded here. We just need to provide the ID. I have given the ID already. And here in the top right side, you can see what is the query that it is making. See, these two queries it is making, right? It is taking, it will show you what is the time which your CPU is taking, what is the server time total taking, and what is the browser's time which is it is taking. And this is the data that it is showing. Now, one thing that you can imagine, the data that it is returning is in JSON format, correct? So JSON, knowledge of JSON is very important. But again, if you don't know, we have a session where I will describe you how the JSON looks like. But here, whatever data that you are retrieving from Salesforce will be written in JSON format. Okay, and that JSON we need to use in further APIs. Now you can say we have got the data, but where we can view that data? We can't simply show this to the customers. They need a UI. For any UI things, we need OmniScripts. This is the OmniScript. Okay, there we will bind the data raptors. This is the data raptor. We need to bind this data raptor. Let me actually show you a preview as well. So OmniScript is a place where you actually view something to the user. This is the skin basically, you can say. So there we need to, like, if I do the next, you will see there is a name, there's an email, there's a file, date of birth, like all those things. And then we can go to the next. So here we are asking user to put any information, and based on their information, we simply do the next, and the next button will do whatever jobs that we will ask or we will set it to do. Okay, it is nothing but a drag drop feature. Let me show you. If you go here, you will see if I go to the actions and I search for data raptor, right? I can simply drag it. Okay, and I can configure this data raptor. I can configure what this data raptor does, what type of data we need. So everything is a drag drop basis, and how they are doing it, how this view page is working. They are storing this data in JSON and adding this data into this record ID. If I just open this, because like I said, this is running on top of Salesforce, right? So you will see this is nothing but a ID, which is a record ID, right? This is the same name that our OmniScript named it, and they are storing the data. Whatever element we are dragging, they are adding this their element also. So since they have stored everything in object-oriented manner, we can use those things in our native development as well. Like we can use those things in our LWC, in our Apex classes. We just need to retrieve this ID. Okay, we will discuss this thing into the depth, but yeah. If I go back to the yeah, here the data raptor is used to load the data and to perform insert and update operations. Correct. Your OmniScript is used to display the data. Okay, apart from displaying the data, it also has some brain features. Brain features means something which you can commit into the databases, something which you can do as an action. Those things your OmniScript is also capable of, right? Next is the integration. Like I said previously, when we need integration, when we need to talk to another system outside Salesforce, we need to write tons of code. But here it is everything in drag and drop manner. You just drag it and use it. In integration is also responsible for best practices. Let's say if the requirement is where we need to call multiple objects in a button click, then how we can optimize this performance of your OmniScript, performance of your entire component is rely on integration itself. Okay, so those things we will learn in integration. Like I said, OmniScript, we will learn how to display the data, what type of field we want to display, whether we want to use a LWC UI or we want to use a normal UI, that is totally depend on it. And this is the gateway of calling your LWC component as well, where you need to change the layout, where you need to change the look and feel, or you just want your data raptor as an input and you want to run your own logic to optimize the UI. In that case also you need to go for LWC. So this OmniScript is the gateway. We will discuss about this also. Cards and layouts. This is something where let's say your project is call center project, where let's say someone who's calling, at the time when they are calling, the customer who's attending the call, person who's attending call, they will show a pop-up, and in that pop-up all the related information will be displayed. Let me give you a real example. Let's say you're calling to Airtel customer care. Okay, and at the time when the Airtel guy asks what is your phone number, you just tell them this is my phone number. Based on your phone number, they will show you all the history of your payments, your current any cases that you have logged, any problem that you have faced, what is the status of your current pack, right? How they are doing this? Because they are using a system like Salesforce Velocity is offering, Velocity cards or the layouts, where in a smaller screen, but just typing couple of inputs, you will see the detailed information. Okay, so that thing we will learn here, how we can control that. This is something which is launchers. We will discuss this also. And lastly, we will discuss about deployments, like how the deployment happens. Because here, the main difference between Velocity and your Salesforce development is Velocity more often create records. Okay, they will create record in particular, like this is a record, right? This is a record that they have created in this Velocity OmniScript object. So the deployment also will happen on the basis of record itself, right? So we cannot rely on the Salesforce deployment kits. We need to use Velocity deployments if it is IDX. Okay, we will lastly we will discuss about this as well, how to deploy this thing. Okay, definitely I can't show you my Git where I just commit the code in my office, but I will show you how to deploy these things from org to org, from one org to another org. And I will also tell you what are the things that we need to consider if we are considering about branch deployments, like how we usually do in our projects. Okay, now I pause for any questions. So this is the complete structure. Apart from these topics, we will also discuss some development kits, like how I told you how to call, like someone is asking how to call the entry data raptor in our LWC. So those things we will also discuss.
I have one question. So coming to the Git deployment, actually, do we have any documentation for that on Abe?
Git deployment, I will tell you, I don't have document, but I will create. But here we
Okay.
will more rely on IDX tools.
Okay.
Your IDX will give you what you need to commit to your branch.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, we just need to
Because
copy that
actually,
and
yeah, because actually in our office we are using Git deployment. I'm new to the Git
right.
deployment.
Git be here also in my office also some projects use Visual Studio as well for the deployment purpose. But the common thing is this IDX tool. This will tell you
Okay.
what you need to put in your repository.
Okay. And how many projects we are going to handle in this sample projects or sample things we are going to do it
Right.
in a demo?
So see how we will do it. In every weekend, I will give you assignments. Okay, those assignments are not like very required, but those assignments will help you to understand your knowledge. So whatever, let's say we have discussed three topics. Let's say we have discussed data raptor and integration. So I will give you assignments on data raptor and integration also. Okay, so that you can do the
Okay.
practice. And those are the real time examples that I have ever worked on in my projects. I will not give the exact
Okay.
names, but I will give you a scenario. I will give you a story where you need to run your brain and think like how we can do it.
Okay.
Apart from this, we will also provide you a CMT org, which is this with admin privileges, where you can just do how you normally do in your projects, where you can create data raptors and integration processes or anything that we have discussed. You can create those things.
Okay. So in the weekend also do we have classes?
No, we only have classes on weekdays. Weekends, in weekends, you need to do the assignments. And if you have any
Okay.
questions, you can post those questions to LMS. You can ask those questions in the live class also. But let's say if we are in this topic, okay, and you have questions related to this topic, which is like 3 or 4 class behind, then better to ask those questions after the class or put those questions to LMS. I will answer this offline. But yeah, if the
Okay.
agenda is to discuss these topics, maybe we can discuss those questions after the class, not in between the class.
Okay. We will have offline email communications as well, right?
Right.
So if
Yeah,
you
right.
require, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
We have a platform where you can put your questions. Others can also see these questions and they can also ask similar questions there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Any other question?
Sir, what is the configuration required, sir, in laptop? I mean,
Laptop, basic laptop is required. Everything we will do in Velocity, in Salesforce. Yes, there are some tools that we sometimes need to download, but some basic requirement is like normally if you have a laptop, then it is fine. There's no, because Salesforce runs on cloud, right? So it doesn't require your CPU to run actually.
If required to use LWC, then more than Windows 8, it's required. Node.js will not support in below Windows 7 or below versions. That's one
Yeah.
thing.
We can also use this pack LWC something, right? Here I have used it somewhere. Yeah, this LWC editor. So it is a browser based LWC environment tool where we can just simply go and edit your LWC. It actually doesn't require any software installation. I generally prefer this. I don't prefer Visual Studio because it requires so many configurations. Yeah. We'll discuss about this when we reach to that points. Okay, any other question? If no question, we can take the session after. Yeah.
What is the
Will there
registration
be
cost? And actually, do we have any offer for the tool?
Costing, yeah, costings, you can connect to this number or mail us to this. Ekta
Okay.
is a person who's dealing with the cost.
Okay.
They will tell you. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, after the session, you will get an email from this SFDC, this mail. There they will ask you some basic details and the timings. So based on the entire feedback and if based on the my availability also, because I am also working full time. So based on that, if that timing suits, we can change. Otherwise, the timings usually will be 8:30 to 9:30. But if you're
Morning.
if the yeah morning, IST.
Okay.
And if you guys is preferring some other timings, you can put the timing there. If I am available, because my office also start around 11, so I usually work late night. So yeah, we can discuss this also. I mean, based on that, I will discuss with Ekta and she will communicate with you guys. Okay.
And you will be the trainer for us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. No questions. Then we can break. All right. The regular classes I will discuss with Ekta also. I think is starting from tomorrow. I have not asked this, but yeah, you will get the notification through emails when the actual regular batches are starting. Okay.
Yeah, if you are going to start from tomorrow, that would be great.
Yeah. Even I have the same communication, but yeah, I will discuss with them also once.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining. Thanks.